Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Kuroko no Basket Season 2. We are on episode 15, and in the last episode, we had not started the match, because I believe the match actually started the episode before. But we were obviously in the middle of the match between Serene and To. And I believe we are just past the first quarter, or around there, or maybe we're at the end of the first quarter. But regardless, Serene were actually taking them head on for a long period of that episode, and it wasn't until like the very end when Kuroko basically started getting shut down from every angle by Aomine. I mean, Aomine was just doing everything on his own. He didn't need, to know the ins and outs of like how to try and stop this vanishing drive and how it works and everything. And he was just, and even the Ignite Past Kai didn't work when he tried that. It was definitely an interesting episode actually for Kuroko, because I feel like this is the first time where he's felt completely shut down to a point where he actually got aggravated and immediately, like, you know what I mean, like that sort of, there was a switch in his head that, Aomine just pushed his buttons at the wrong time, or at the right time, depending on how you look at it. But it caused Kuroko to like start to not think about the team play, which he's always been about, you know what I mean? I feel like at that moment in time it was just him and Aomine, and he tried to, I don't think it was a case of him using Ignite Pass to create something, more than it was like almost like, oh yeah, what, you're going to stop me with that kind of thing? It's like, well, he just wanted to beat Aomine with something, you know what I mean? So it was definitely an interesting episode for Kuroko, but at the end there, I mean, obviously Kuroko was very frustrated. They're on the bench, and Kagami's just like, leave it to me, I'll fucking do it, you know what I mean? And this whole thing that's starting to build up with Kagami about, finding the right situation to actually be able to take on Aomine in a one-on-one situation, it could get crazy. So, I'm very excited to get into it. I don't think we really need to get into anything else for the pre-discussion, so I think we're just going to get straight in episode 15. So, if you do want to go watch the reaction, link is in the description below. There's also the link to the full length if you want to watch this reaction in full and not just the 10-minute cut version, then the offer is there for you. But yes, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get into episode 15 of season 2, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 15. Insane. I can't believe that Kagami has been essentially, this entire episode is essentially kept out, like, Aomine to, like, I think, how many points did Aomine actually get this episode? Like, 2? As in, like, he made one shot? I may be wrong, just because of the, like, insane hype that's going on around Kagami, but it felt like, I think Aomine only got that one where he essentially, it was like the alley-oop, except he didn't alley-oop it, like, he grabbed the ball and then chucked it behind his back. I think that was the only shot that he made. But yeah, that was insane. Kagami's improvement, man, that is that. I don't know what, I don't know who, like, this Alex is, if that's the master or not, but I need to see, like, what exactly he was learning in a month's space of time to take him from where he was to where he is now, where he's able to go toe-to-toe with Aomine. Now, granted, Aomine has this, like, like, he's like a fucking Saiyan at this point. He just keeps, you know what I mean? It's like, there's always another level to go to, you know what I mean? And, it's not like Aomine is learning either. It's more like he always had this. And it's like, once his opponent gets to a certain, like, starts to, like, tiptoe into his sort of territory, he just opens up, like, the next slide of his, of what he's able to do. You know what I mean? Of his power. And he just, it's like he always keeps them at an arm's length, which totally makes sense in regards to how he feels about basketball, where, you know, he never wants to go all out because he'll just absolutely dominate the other team and it won't be fun. So it's like he only gives up, like, you know, 50% of his power. You know, and then once, like, the likes of his opponent gets to that, you know, to match it, he goes up another 10% kind of thing. That's what it's like. Now, I felt like there was a lot of almost contradictory stuff going on in this episode, where it was like, there was a lot of saying, oh, Aomine is not at 100% yet, and then now he is, but then now he's going past it. I mean, I guess it's not like, well, I guess in a way it's not really contradictory, because it's completely, like, it happens like all the time, especially in shonen anime, where it's like, you know, they take it past 100%. I mean, realistically, like, to take it past 100% means that you're damaging your body in order to do so. But, like, you know, like, I don't think that's the case even with Aomine, what he's doing now. Like, he's just quicker now. So the only thing that he can actually sort of put it to is, because now he's actually enjoying playing, that is what's causing him to play better. It's you know, I mentioned obviously during the reaction, but it is true. It's like, when you're enjoying your sport, you play better. When you're enjoying whatever it is that you're doing a better job at it. The problem is that with Aomine is that everything was so easy for him that he wasn't enjoying it. So, but even then, like, just sheer technique and skill gets him through, and then that's it. You know what I mean? And like I said, he just keeps. If anyone gets close to him, he opens up more and gives out more of his ability. So, you know, but I think that, you know, if what Glasses dude, whatever he's, they did say his name, which I think might be one of the first times his name has been mentioned. Maybe not, but, like, you know, I've never written down his name. You know, but, like, after the first half ended, and he went, and, you know, they were walking through the corridor and whatnot, that he was talking about, you know, how Kagami and Aomine, they're, you know, they're going at it full force kind of thing between each other. So I just think that, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is what you need to really, like, take into account. Like, if this was this kind of stuff, obviously, like, feels like it's stuff that people could say in real life. You know what I mean? If, like, a real basketball game was going on and, like, you have two people talking, going like, "Oh my god, they're, like, at their full," you know what I mean? That they're basically both at their A game going against each other. You know, but do we really know that? You know what I mean? Like, what really qualifies as, like, a numerical value with, like, oh, they're at 100%. Like, you don't really know that. The only people that know if they're going as far as they possibly can and pushing it as much as they can is they themselves. So, you know what I mean? But anime always has this thing where it seems like exposition from other characters to basically give you that numerical value, so you know exactly how much output they're actually giving. You know what I mean? So it is like the other characters that are given that exposition are giving you facts as opposed to opinion. You know what I mean? So that's why when, you know, you've got a Glasses guy saying they're both going all out, you know, that I have to almost take it as fact. But then Aomine just takes up another level. I mean, that's Aomine in a nutshell, though, isn't it, really? But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, the interesting thing that they've got now is that Kagami was taking him head on by himself without Kuroko on the court. Kagami obviously keeps that up. Now we've got Kuroko coming in, that can offset it. So even though Aomine has gone to another level, having both Kuroko and Kagami both going all out should neutralize that, hopefully. And then that's what we can use to hopefully push forward and get the win. The thing is with that is, like, you're using two characters, or two players I should say, to neutralize one opponent. And while that opponent is the strongest one, the rest of the team really around need to obviously up their A game to deal with every other opponent. Now, the interesting thing about that is that I don't know how much that is actually going to work, judging by how we've got Kuroko now, who the Glasses guy is actually, like, switched marks. So now he's marking Kuroko, and that comes to Momoi. So she, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's an interesting one with her, isn't it? Because it's a weird one. Maybe what it was in the first game. The first game was kind of a different way of looking at it. Hold on, I'll talk while I lower my settings again, because we've got some glimmer coming through from the sun. It's still there, but at least it's a bit darker. Nah, fuck it, whatever. Anyway, yeah. So Momoi, like with the first game that Siri and Toho had, it was kind of a write-off in terms of, I mean, Momoi showed us obviously what she could do there. That was obviously when it was revealed, because obviously it was the first time we were playing against her, and it was like, she's this information gathering specialist, and that's like that's what she does. She does the research. She gets all of these, sort of looking at the opponent's weaknesses and how to exploit them in a way, or looking even at their strengths and blocking out those strengths to stop them from doing what they are best at. But the one thing that happened in the first game was that Kuroko was so unpredictable that he was the one that she couldn't account for. And it makes me think that she was holding back in the first game. And now in this second game, it's like she's in a tough spot because she loves him. She loves Kuroko, but I mean, we've already had that whole thing about your opponent has to really, like, you want your opponent to go all out and everything like that, right? We've already had that talk, and specifically it was about Kuroko and Aomine, because we had that flashback, right, where we learned everything about Aomine and the reason why he is the way that he is. So there's that whole thing, and then with the second game, this is what it's coming down to. So on one hand, she's stuck between loving Kuroko and seemingly the quote with "some things can only be seen from behind a mirror." By the way, that's a great quote. I love that one. Is something that Kuroko has. Kuroko has a weakness that Momoi knows about, that she is told, at least the glasses guy, or the team, that they can exploit. Now, it's a weird one, isn't it, with her? Because she's not like, I mean, I feel the only reason she even joined Toho was to go with Aomine, because Aomine was going there. And it's like she has that whole thing about, I feel like I have to look after him kind of thing. And then, but then you've got this whole thing of having to go all out against the guy that she loves. It depends on what this weakness is. Like, I mean, it has to be sort of on the court, I'd imagine. At the end of the day, right, she is an opponent, so she has to, she has to do her job. That is her job. So, you can't just, I mean, if you're supposed to put yourself into the whole team and give your team the best chance of winning. That means that you have to, go against somebody who you're friendly with on the other team to try and exploit the weaknesses that they have. Then that is the way that it has to be. You know what I mean? There's no use there's no use getting sour about it or bitter about it, because I think that's just the way that it has to be. So, that is the way it is, and we'll see next episode what that weakness is. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like this has to be something that Kuroko really needs to. He really needs to get through. The only thing I guess you could say, like, about this whole thing is that if Momoi has been watching, like, how Kuroko almost, like, went off the edge because Aomine stopped everything that he threw at him. if he gets stopped now, what will that do to Kuroko mentally, almost? You know what I mean? The only thing I would say about that is, you know, it's not that moment where Momoi has to be worrying about Kuroko anyway. You know what I mean? You're in the middle of a game. She can't be like, you know, she can't be analysing every fucking moment of the game, especially just one opponent. She has to keep an eye out on the whole thing, like the whole game that's going on. So I'll probably say that she hasn't really noticed that much. I mean, she's got to be... I feel like she's got to have known about, like, Kuroko being down about Aomine stopping on many tracks, but, you know, whatever. I did actually love the smart play by Kuroko. Something that, you know, getting yourself in a position to be fouled is a very tactical play. And of course, when it comes to Aomine, somebody who, you know, he's not going to miss. You know, Kiyoshi wasn't going to get there. As good as Kiyoshi is, and I love him, it's my favourite character, he wasn't going to get there, you know. He's not on par with Aomine. So, you know, like, for Kuroko to actually get in front there, really, really smart player to obviously take the foul. You know, because you take the foul, you stop him from scoring a point, which is, you know, the best thing. So, yeah, I mean, I really liked that he did that. I feel like it was almost like, you know, Kuroko pointed it out as, you know my moves, but I know your moves, you know what I mean? I can predict where you're going, so I can just put myself in the way. Part of that was, you know, around that time in the reaction, I was talking about how, because Kagami is, like, literally becoming, like, became a stronger light, a much stronger light in this quarter, that it takes the you know, the shine off Kuroko. And I even said, like, just before it happened, like, there could be a moment where Aomine is actually taking his eye off Kuroko for a minute, which is something he's never done before in a game. So, you know, I feel like that obviously had something to play on it, because at the end of the day, Aomine is extremely agile. How quick he moves in, like, some circumstances is unreal. You know what I mean? So if he had paid attention to where Kuroko was, he could easily maneuver around him. So I think he took his eye off him after how shining brightly Kagami was. But that just shows, you know what I mean? Go back to when Kagami and Aomine first met, and Aomine is like, your light's too dim. Not anymore. Not anymore. So yeah, I mean, he's literally come out and said as well, Aomine has literally come out and said that Kagami's like, you know, I've finally found a real opponent. I mean, he never even said that about Kisei, which is something, you know what I mean? I mean, he must think of it. He must think it in his head, because that you know, To Kaijo match was relatively fucking close. You know what I mean? It took them to the last quarter. It felt like the last minute, actually. You know what I mean? Where they took it that close. But yeah, I mean, he literally said it. So that's it. It's official. Like, Aomine can start enjoying his basketball again. And even though they were saying, like, yeah, like, you know, when he was enjoying his basketball, he would smile and everything like that. And I was talking about how we could get that in this second half. I feel like we do need to go through a phase of Aomine when he's actually desperate or angry, because I have full faith that Serene will win this match. I mean, I'll be surprised if we got knocked out by them twice, you know, and we're completely out of the Winter Cup. So I'm rather certain we will win this game. So in order to get to a point where, like, desperation and even anger can crop in for Aomine, because when was the last time he even lost? Like, he has to go through that phase before he, you know, it's like that whole... When you lose, you have to get over it in a way, you know what I mean? And you come out the other side more mentally sort of sound. So he'll have to go through all of those emotions, I feel like, before he realizes that, right, like, he gets back to training, and all of a sudden it's like the excitement's back. something he can work towards, as opposed to waiting for somebody to work towards him. That's when it'll come. So when Kuroko's saying that, like, you know, if we win this game, then that's when, you know, his smile will come back and you'll be enjoying. I mean, we've seen his smile right now, but is it more of a smile of like, oh, it's more of a smile of like, I can go all out, as opposed to I am enjoying my basketball. So, you know, a different sort of smile, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. You know, so yeah, it will probably take the win and the sadness and the anger of Aomine to you know, to get that sort of out of his system, and then he can build back up, and then that's when the enjoyment will come back. You know, he also talked about the change of pace that he does as well, which is interesting. Like the fact of like when he's actually bouncing the ball, he'll do it to a rhythm, a specific rhythm, and change it up and slow it down a bit to like kind of throw off opponents, which is a really cool idea. I never even thought about that before. That's really cool. God, I'm sick of this. I mean, this is why I never. You see, I want natural light in as much as I can in my videos, right? But the problem is that every time I record, it's like the heavens open and the sun comes out, and then it just, you know, it basically blasts me in my camera with like. It's annoying. It just blasts it with exposure, so like it becomes overexposed and too bright, and then I need to turn it down, and then all of a sudden the sun goes back in. It's too dark, and it's fucking annoying, dude. You know what I mean? But I like natural light coming in. It looks better instead of my, you know, my photographic light. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, change of pace, really, really cool. You know, the sort of friendship isn't teamwork thing at the very beginning of the episode, which is really, really cool. Like the idea that, you know, when Kuroko is on the court, or even when he's not, Kagami for the longest time has been thinking that he has had to rely on Kuroko, you know, basically most of the time. You know what I mean? The only time where he didn't was where he went up against Shotoku in the first match they did. You know, and he tried to do everything on his own. But that wasn't the right time at that point. Well, it was the right time, but it was sort of like a different situation at the time. And Kagami's obviously been fighting with that internally, even like up until this point. I love the fact that he comes on and he basically says like it's not about beating Aomine anymore. It's about saving. It's about essentially saving Kuroko. You know, so in a way as well, like you could even mix those two together, and it's like by beating Aomine, you almost save Aomine as well. So it kind of works both ways. But like the idea like that Kagami has just this, not even technically changed and improved, but mentally changed and improved, which is great. I mean, I don't need to give you the whole mental speech again, because, you know, I've given it to you a lot now. You understand mentality plays an important role. So yeah, Kagami the savior, man, like that allows him to not be, it's like it puts him in a different frame of mind of where it's not one to do everything by himself. In the end, he kind of has to, because that's his role at that point, at that, you know, at that time. But by becoming the one to be relied on, is like it's allowed him to sort of thrive under that. You know what I mean? Like he's really, he was just completely taking the game to Aomine, and it was great to see. You know what I mean? Like pulling off the same things that Kisu was doing, like the same sort of style in a way. You know. So yeah, I mean that's the thing as well. I think at one point, like Kagami had to change up his game against Aomine, because we learned the one time that Kagami tried to outjump Aomine, Kagami doesn't even have enough time to jump before Aomine is on his case because he's too quick. So he has to get into Aomine's mind and throw him off to put him off, you know. So that was just really, really cool to see. So yeah, Kagami's really stepped up. And yeah, I mean, he's got to be breaking through the door very soon. Like, this rate of improvement is really, really quick right now. So yeah, it's really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I've got for episode 15. So yeah, really cool episode. Can't wait to get into the next one, see how we continue with this game, see what happens. So yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, like early access. So if you want to get access to episode 16 of Season 2 will be out the same time as this for the public. If you want to get access to episodes 17 and 18 right now, you can do by going over to my Patreon, of course, and becoming an early access tier patron. Gives you episodes a week early, it's $5 a month. There's also the full length tier if you want to get access to any of my reactions in the full episode, not just the 10-minute cut versions. And there's also the exclusive tier if you want to get access to movie reactions and things like that, okay? So yeah, go have a look at those, see what they offer. But that's all I got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.